Welcome to True Talk on WMNF 88.5 with Samar and Ahmed. We're in the studio. We're 1 week away from our fund drive where Samar and I will be, raising money for the station and for WMNF and also asking for your support. So make sure that you support us in that. We're going to continue speaking about what's happening in Gaza. Every week, atrocities continue to mount, and it's almost like we can't keep up with it. So Samar and I are going to have a conversation on that, and if we have time, we may take some phone calls. I want to play a song for you right now, and then when we come back, we will be speaking about Gaza. This is WMNF Tampa.
حبيبي يا نور العين يا ساكن خيالي عاشق بقالي سنين ولا غيرك في بالي حبيبي يا نور العين يا ساكن خيالي عاشق بقالي سنين ولا غيرك في بالي أجمل عيون في الكون أنا شفتها الله عليك الله على سحرها أجمل عيون في الكون أنا شفتها الله عليك الله على سحرها عيونك معايا عيونك كفاية عيونك معايا عيونك كفاية تنور ليالي قلبك نداني وقال بتحبني الله عليك الله طمنتني قلبك نداني وقال بتحبني الله عليك الله طمنتني معاك البداية وكل الحكاية معاك البداية وكل الحكاية معاك للنهاية
Welcome back to True Talk on WMNF 88.5. Samar and I are actually trying to do something simultaneously here. Oh, you can see me. Okay. We're not supposed to be talking about who can see who, but Samar, we have some stories and some things that have been happening in the news a lot. A lot of stories, things have been happening in the news related to Gaza that I wanted to take your take on it. We have a number of stories. What are the stories that you lined up that we're going to talk about? And just the latest update is some 30,000 Palestinians in Gaza have been killed so far in the past 4 months, over 4 months, since October 7th. And the numbers keep rising. And now the biggest concern that everybody's talking about, that Israel is about to invade Rafah district. So,
yeah,
you can't hear?
Can I hear myself?
Yeah, I think you should.
Okay. So, Ahmed, I think one of the news items just came up a while ago, like a few minutes ago, is that Ireland is going to give 20 million pounds to UNRWA. And because there is famine going on in the north of Gaza, in Rafah. Actually, as I was driving up to here, Anas Sharif, one of the few reporters who have not been massacred yet and killed and targeted in what seems to be targeting journalists, he said that really there is famine. People have no flour. They have no cans. They used to have canned food. They hardly have water, and water is not of good quality and consumption for humans. So at the moment, Ireland decided to give UNRWA money, and this money, I'm not sure how they are going to get any goods to go into Gaza, especially in the north, because you have settlers always blocking the road and preventing these trucks from entering. And what else? I think
your voice is a little low. Can you speak closer? We have a new microphone here at WMNF.
I'm almost swallowing it.
Oh, really? You're speaking right into it? Okay, I just raised you up. Somebody sent me a message saying, "Oh, they can't hear Samar."
Why?
Usually, Samar is,
No, Samar is never screaming except at you.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Well,
I'm always quiet, actually.
That is, I'm not sure if that's very true.
It's true talk. It has to be true.
It is true talk.
No, I think maybe you needed to raise the volume. But as I was saying, I have so many. There is a breaking news. Which happened last night, Palestine designated for deferred enforced departure, DED status, and that's something that was by the White House.
Right, it means that they won't deport them. People that are set to be deported back to Palestine, they're going to defer it for another 18 months until they deport them because, where are they going to send them to? And that's the big concern right now.
And there is a news from the Haaretz. Israel authorities demolish home of East Jerusalem social activist, drawing U.S. ire or ira, I don't know how to pronounce it, like anger. The U.S. State Department denounced the move by the Jerusalem municipality, saying it hurts the efforts to advance sustainable peace and security. And Israel's status in the world. This happened on February 15, where a large police force descended on the home of Fakhri Abu Diab, one of the most prominent social activists and neighborhood leaders in East Jerusalem. This is not somebody who is pro-Hamas or Islamic Revolution or even fighting.
What's his name?
Fakhri Abu Diab.
Okay, So,
and they demolished his house.
Why?
Because, for instance, in Jerusalem, especially in East Jerusalem, if you are a Palestinian, and it doesn't matter if you're a Muslim or a Christian, you cannot add a room or build on your own property. So,
why is that?
because Israel is trying to suffocate the Palestinians out of Jerusalem and let them very casually, ethnically cleansing them by not giving them a chance to have, more rooms. Like, okay, when you are young, like this property, he lived on it when he was a baby in the early 60s. So, okay, now he's married, he has kids, and okay, if they are older, you need a room.
Right.
So you apply for a permit and you never get it.
Like
so
an add-on room.
So people build it, and the municipality knows and allows you to build it. And 10, 20 years later, in order to suffocate the Palestinians, just walks in and says, okay, you have a penalty of like $60,000. Where is he going to get the money from? So he is given, usually our people are given two options. You either pay a couple of $1,000 so the municipality would would demolish it, or you do the demolishing by yourself. So this is, people can Google it. They can go and Google demolishing homes in East Jerusalem. Of course, it happens also in the West Bank and of course in Gaza, but with East Jerusalem is done through the lack of permitting. And this is how they can do it. They usually hire lawyers, and what happens is delay after delay after delay. You pay. But then I think, and I'm reading here from the Haaretz, the Israeli newspaper, it says in 2010, then Mayor Nir Barakat announced a plan to demolish the neighborhood and build a tourist park instead and name it Hamlik Park. The plan was blasted by the international community, including the U.S. President Obama's administration. So this is what they are subjected to. And Abu Diab headed the neighborhood committee and conducted the talks with the city officials on behalf of the other residents, like he was speaking on behalf of the other residents. And let me see, so they are planning to demolish most of the neighborhood because it is going to become a park. So you have people living there for God knows how many years, but they want to demolish it to create a park. Okay, so
well, those demolitions usually do happen, but can what's happening though in the demolitions?
Yeah.
Okay, actually, we're just having a little feedback here, so I'm going to play some additional audio, and then we're going to fix that and come back.
Okay.
Welcome back to True Talk on WMNF 88.5. And now I'm rejoined by my co-host, Samar. Good to have you, Ahmed. Yes, Samar. It's good to have you also. So we're trying something new again. We're trying to broadcast this our show live on Twitter. And you can go there to WMNF, or actually you can go to our Twitter account. In the future, maybe we will also retweet it to...
Make it higher. Sorry.
So...
Technology is amazing, Ahmed. Now...
we're not supposed to reference any technology while we're doing the show, though. So,
Why?
but it is...
We are here in the studio and we are trying to move into the 22nd century, Ahmed. And we have people who watch us from all over the world. So they
Well,
need
mainly
to know.
you. Mine, I don't have the same kind of, what do you call it? Popularity, following on Twitter.
Doesn't matter, but True Talk is and WMNF will be famous worldwide. People actually watch it after a while.
Oh, they
Because
do.
Thursday is usually an... it's like Friday night.
Oh, in the Middle East.
In the Middle
So
East.
people are watching now Friday night. It's 7 hours in advance. So it's 7 p.m. Prime time.
I do get comments, and guess what's the number one comment when we do True Talk?
I don't know.
They think it's in Arabic.
Oh, they do?
They do.
And
They all,
don't-
like how
they're
many?
surprised that you're speaking English?
No, not that I speaking English. That there could be such a show in English in the U.S. Because they
What language will we speak in the U.S.?
No, that they think, there are Arabic, for instance, TV stations and stuff. So they think to deal with such topics that we deal with has to be in Arabic and for an Arabic audience, but not for an American audience in English. And this is part of the freedom of speech that we have here at WMNF, that we can have such a show. That's what I meant.
Right.
So that's the number one question. Is it in
English or is it-
English? Oh,
yeah.
even when sometimes I contact people and the email is in English and we're going to have you on True Talk to talk about this, blah, 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 blah. And I give them the link to the station to see that it is really a station. Is it in English? And I always say, of course, it's in English.
Right. So, we have a number of stories. I want to talk to you about what's happening with UNRWA, the
UNRWA.
United Nations Relief and Works Agency. There's a lot of talk about it. There was all these allegations. Remember when the International Court of Justice had their ruling that they said that there's plausible cause. There's a plausibility that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza, and they gave them some orders of what they need to do to not do that. And so far, they haven't abided by it. However, on the same day, Israel made this allegation against UNRWA staff that 7 of its staff members had participated in the October 7th attacks on Israel, which right away caused these, as a response, Western countries like the United States, Canada, Britain, Germany, and others halted and suspended their funding of UNRWA, and which actually created a potential crisis, because that's the main agency that actually helps feed and provide shelter for Palestinians. It's been doing it for many years, but especially right now, there's something like over 1 million, that they're taking care of over 1 million refugees or displaced people inside Gaza. So this is the worst time that people could suspend funding for these civilians. Mm-hmm. And so far, many of the countries have said they haven't seen any evidence to back up these claims of these allegations that 7 or 12 members of staff, UNRWA staff, United Nations staff participated on October 7th. Have you heard anything since? Has any evidence been put forward to suggest that these guys, that staff from UNRWA participated in October 7th?
No, but I think what people don't know is that UNRWA hires at least 60,000 people. So it could be that somebody maybe talked to somebody or did something, but it doesn't mean you have to reflect this on an international organizations and a new organization that serves hundreds of thousands of people. It's like, let's say I did something wrong. Does that mean we were going to punish all of WMNF and
cut? It's funny, or some of these people that
funding.
like sometimes the comparison is you have these individuals. Of course, America has all these mass shootings. Let's say an employee of a company committed a mass shooting somewhere, a tragedy, or at a school or a university. Do you punish the entire school or university or their employer? No, they're let's say they're a criminal, committed an act. You don't punish the entire population of 2 million people.
No.
And then suggest that that's. But however, I think it goes deeper than that. I think there are now, and before that, there were calls by Israeli ministers that they need to completely defund UNRWA, and I think part of that is because UNRWA is basically the agency that keeps the Palestinian identity alive. Through that, they've sustained these Palestinian refugees. They want what the Israelis are suggesting is that they want a different United Nations agency to take care of refugees. And what those agencies normally do, Samar, is that they basically relocate them to other countries around the world. Like, whether from Somalia or Afghanistan or others, they take in these or Syria, these displaced refugees, and they find new homes for them in other parts of the world. And I think that's exactly what the Israelis want, just another avenue how to depopulate and get rid of people in Gaza.
Let me also stress that feeding is just a simple part of what UNRWA does, because usually it only feeds people who are under the poverty line, because the rest of the people in Gaza are not necessarily poor. So let me just read here. I am reading from the UN Works Agency website. So for instance, they offer education. So they have 543,000 students. 294,000 are in the Gaza Strip. 46,000 students are in the West Bank. 49,000 in Syria. 39,000 in Lebanon. And 113,000 students are in Jordan in refugee camps. So they have schools. For instance, one of my aunts used to teach in the UNRWA school in Syria. And also stepsister of my husband used to teach history, I think, at UNRWA. She's Lebanese, by the way. But anyways, so it's not like it's about food, and it's not only about Gaza. You're talking about Palestinians who are in Jordan and Lebanon and Syria. So why deprive them? What did they do? They have nothing to do with this. Another thing, Ahmed, they do is the health care. They have clinics for people, again, under the poverty line, people who are poor. So they have clinics all over Gaza, but also in the refugee camps in Jordan, the West Bank. So the West Bank does not have any Hamas going on their activity. So why deprive the people in the West Bank from these services like the health services? Also, what they do is they offer loans, micro loans for, especially to women and single moms who want to do any sort of a small business, like a home-based business, where they can they take these micro loans and they give them these loans. So it's education, it's health, it's again, for instance, who coordinated during COVID? How would you offer the Palestinians, whether in the West Bank or in Gaza, with the vaccinations? Because this COVID was spreading all over the world. There is some, so it was UNRWA that coordinated that. Again, infrastructure. Who's going to, for instance, build water purification system? Or if you have homes that are at the risk of collapsing, who's going to help them? So UNRWA is not about food only. does a million things that can be done for refugees, and it's a UN sanctioned organization. It's not like there is no monitoring, or it's run by Arabs or by Palestinians or by Muslims. It's usually run.
United Nations.
It's usually run by sometimes Americans, sometimes British, French, whoever is part of the organization.
But the bulk of their staff are Palestinians because that's...
In the city. So if it's operating in Lebanon, they would be Lebanese.
Right. Whoever is there.
Or whoever
the
is
local,
capable.
employees. But the idea is, and I think the number is closer to something like 16,000 staff members, 15,000 staff members, even if it's true that 7 or 10 of them participate in some sort of criminal activity, let's just take their word for it, you don't punish the whole population. This is, again, a form of collective punishment. But the question that everybody's asking is Israel abiding by the International Court of Justice ruling, where they specifically and clearly said that they have to stop any type of actions that are, genocide in nature or genocidal intent, and they have to enable and facilitate the delivery of humanitarian aid. None of those things seem to be happening, and it doesn't seem like anyone can hold them accountable. They act with impunity. They can get away with it because the United States continue to provide them the support. The whole world can say whatever they want, but America... Mm-hmm. The Biden administration continues to give them the green light to do what they want. Washington and the White House has become more and more vocal about it, Samar. However...
Over the top, he said.
Yeah, he said over the top in the press conference. And also, the White House...
And Lincoln says a few words here and there.
Right, but they still doesn't change. But they still say, we support Israel's right to defend itself. Is this... Killing 30,000 people, is that really their right to defend themselves? Are they currently under attack right now? October 7th, they were attacked. 1,140 people were killed. Many of them are soldiers and security staff. There were civilians that were killed. There were innocent people that were killed that were not participating. All that. However, what is the proportional response? It can't be 30,000, including 12,000 children. And now starving people until now. Since the beginning, they said we're going to cut off the water, fuel, electricity, and they're starving them. And the world is watching. And now you're seeing even the humanitarian aid trucks that are lined up on the Rafah border on the Egypt side trying to get in. You have, the Israeli government is facilitating these protesters to go there and do a blockade. And I think this is orchestrated by the Israeli government, by the Netanyahu government. Because if you look at all their tents, they all are exactly, it's not like just people organically decided to go do a camp or some, like, they did with Occupy Wall Street. Mm-hmm. If you look at their tents, they're all this exact same. It means somebody's funding this operation. And most of them are young people that are just hanging out there and putting their bodies in front of these humanitarian trucks and saying, well, not until the hostages are released. Well, if you're concerned about the hostages that are in Gaza, they also need food to eat, and they also need water, and they also need medicine. So you're not only depriving the Palestinians, but if you really care about the hostages, the Israeli hostages, you would want the aid to get in because that would also save their lives as well. But the one thing that you would notice about all the hostages that have been released so far, mm-hmm. and even the ones that they freed 2 hostages this week, they look like in good health. They're not, they're not malnutritioned. So somehow the group that was holding them was going out of their way to protect them. And in that same raid, Samar, did you see that 3 Israelis were killed? Did you?
Where?
In the raid where they were trying to free the hostages.
Yeah, yes.
They inadvertently mm-hmm. killed 3 Israeli hostages in those raids.
Yeah.
So they freed 2, but killed 3. And if you add the 3 that they killed before, the Israelis had killed, remember the soldiers that were carrying, or the hostages carrying the white flag, and they mistook them for Palestinians, and they shot them and killed them. So that's another 3 that they shot and killed. That's 6.
And the few during
and then, of
bombing.
Of course, the ones that have been like a few dozen, maybe 40 or 50 that have been killed because of bombings. So far, Israel has killed the hostages, the Israeli hostages are being held inside Gaza. Their life, the ones that have been killed by the Israeli side so far.
I don't think Netanyahu cares as much as he cares about saving his career and saving himself.
That's what a lot of people are saying.
Yeah, that's what Haaretz. I really encourage people to go and read Israeli papers, the ones in the English language, because you will find a lot of in-depth analysis, and you will find more truth and more investigative reporting, and you will find more news on the inside politics of Israel. And actually, of course, people who are on Twitter, there are so many people who translate Israeli TV shows, and they just say it so bluntly that this guy doesn't care about killing the hostages or freeing them. He is just about saving his career, his political career, because so many people say
Or
that
he just-
eventually he will be put on trial.
Or he's just ideologically genocidal, that he's, like Ben Gavir and
Oh gosh,
and
people
others.
these-
I mean, right now and more proof that Netanyahu doesn't care about the hostages is that he forbade or he blocked the Israeli negotiators from returning to Egypt to continue negotiations. This just happened today, to continue negotiations in Egypt over the release of more hostages.
Oh, even
they
the
don't.
ones-
They don't want. I mean, his government or him specifically. It's almost like they use these negotiations as a tactic to prolong things. But right before they're about to strike a deal, then somehow he pulls the plug. The families of hostages, Israeli hostages, are now protesting outside his house, demanding to say, that he either resigns or continue the negotiations, because they're saying that by doing this, he's basically killed them all. That he's accepted that they will be sacrificed for his agenda. So that's something that's really concerning, and it's when are they going to stop, and who could stop them? The only thing that people are calling for right now that they have some hope in is that a new United Nations Security Council resolution for an immediate ceasefire that the United States would abstain from. Because, not vote, not get involved,
veto.
not veto, and not even vote. You don't even have to vote yes or no, just abstain from participating. And
Didn't Saudi Arabia call for a meeting?
right, I don't know which country, but there's
Yeah,
supposed to be a meeting happening to again call for an immediate ceasefire ahead of this Rafah
Ramadan.
incursion.
Ramadan is
It's a month away now, or it's like less than a month.
It's on March 11th. Can you believe it? Fasting from sunrise to sunset. What are they going to break their fasting on? Ramadan
They're
is
already basically fasting right now, but
at least with
a lot of-
Ramadan, you break the fasting.
a lot of this talk about that even Washington is suggesting that there would be a long humanitarian pause, that this would happen
During
Ramadan, and then somehow after Eid, after Ramadan, and
God.
after Eid, start
This
the
is
bombing
diabolic.
again.
This is
It is.
sick. This is not normal.
Enough damage, so many lives have been lost, so much destruction. 60% of the buildings, residential building, all infrastructure has
Mosques,
been destroyed. Mosques,
churches,
just about
colleges,
everything.
schools,
Everything has been destroyed in
anything
Gaza.
that has to do with survival of the culture.
Culture, survival of just anything, just
Remember when we
to
had
sustain life.
Jason Shawa and said there are many people think of Gaza as if everybody is a fighter there, and his daughters used to go to ballet dancing and ballet practice. They have Pilates, they have clubs, they have social clubs, they have beaches, they have hotels, they used to have Valentine. They used to have Valentine's parties. I mean,
they did.
They were normal people. You have ones that are religious and ones that are just
not.
okay. And you have young people, and more than 50% of the population is less than 18 years old. And this is why the death toll of young people is so high. But I want to, you mentioned something about South Africa, Ahmed, and there is a development that took place on February 13th. That the South African government has just made an urgent request to the International Court of Justice to consider whether this is the decision announced by Israel to extend its military operation in Rafah, which is the last refuge for surviving people in Gaza, requires that the court uses its power to prevent further imminent breach of the rights of Palestinians in Gaza. This is obviously something called under Article 75.1, and South Africa is quite active with its pursuit of international law people
Right.
in
I
the
mean,
Arab
because
world.
they lived apartheid, so they know. And it's a shame that South Africa, not the Arab countries, are taking the lead. There's this, there's anger that's happening in Jordan right now and Saudi Arabia and other places because of allegations of this bridge corridor or the basically this land bridge, because of the interruptions in the Red Sea, where the Houthis have been attacking ships designated or going to Israel, which has now caused all these freights and shipping containers to go south around Africa, which is increasing the delivery time by weeks, and costing millions and millions more. They actually came up with this other solution where the ships dock at the United Arab Emirates in Dubai, and they are loaded on trucks that drive through the Emirates, through Saudi Arabia, through Jordan, and then arrive to Israel, basically circumventing this kind of blockade that the Houthis are doing. And those countries, those Arab countries, have been doing it quietly. But, this one minister of defense, did you see her? Israeli minister of, not defense, of transportation,
And
was
she's
bragging.
the one exposed
it to say like, oh, this is how we're getting around this. And now there's anger within the Arab world that somehow that these Arab countries that should be loyal to the Palestinians are actually collaborating with Israel in this effort. That's one way that you can apply pressure on Israel for a ceasefire. Sure, help them with their deliveries, but on the condition that there's a ceasefire. Other than that, why would you continue to aid when there's these threats of genocide that continue to happen in ethnic cleansing? And it's really sad that it's South Africa. And, kudos to them. And I never thought it would be South Africa who have their own problems, that they're taking the lead on this.
But also there are countries like Japan and Norway who stopped exporting weapons and certain
parts
to certain weapons. But the $1 million question, and maybe Ahmed, this is a chance for people if they want to join the conversation on True Talk. This is True Talk on WMNF 88.5 FM. Ahmed and I are the co-hosts of this show, and we will be fundraising next week. You don't have to wait till next week. You can always go to WMNF.org and look for True Talk tip jar and donate. We need a good... we don't need... Ahmed and I don't get paid to do this wonderful show or job, but WMNF needs to stay on the air, obviously. But maybe people can join and join the conversation, Ahmed, because every day people say, okay, why Muslims and Palestinians or Arabs are not voting for Biden? And here is, there was a meeting. The Biden administration tried several times to meet with Palestinians in Michigan. And then, anyways, a group of them went. Some of them were shamed. Why did you go? And there was this doctor. His name is Rajai Batinji. And he's actually from Gaza, but came to San Francisco when he was very young. And he met with Blinken. And Blinken, he says, was taking notes the whole time, as if Blinken really needs to take notes.
And who is this? What's his? He's a doctor
He's
of
a
what?
doctor of some medical something, but...
they just found some random Palestinian to meet with?
They had a meeting.
I understand, but I'm saying, does he have a role in the...
Is
he a leader within the Palestinians, or is he just an average... They just found some anyone to meet with. It's not like the leadership.
I've never heard of him, but obviously he's a doctor in San Francisco. He was born in Gaza, and all his family is in Gaza, and some of them were killed in Gaza, so maybe they handpicked him. He wrote an op-ed saying, no, I'm just meeting you to listen to our pain and to our suffering, and what can you do? And the ceasefire, he talked about UNRWA, he gave him statistics, how many homes were destroyed, how many colleges, universities.
Blinken knows these things.
Yeah, and it's so funny because it's sad because he was taking notes. Like, seriously, instead of looking you in the eye, he was taking notes.
Blinken knows what's happening there before we even know it. Okay, so
just like when Biden was standing with the King of Jordan, he said, our military operation in Rafah. And he said, no, the military operation in Rafah. So every comment in the Arabic language said, oh gosh, the guy is telling the truth.
Yeah.
It's an American military.
Just like when he called Sisi the president of Mexico.
Oh, God.
What the listeners, if some listeners don't know this background, when President Biden came and wanted to do this, he wanted to reassure the country that, his memory is okay and he was vindicated of the case against him about mishandling classified documents. And he had this press conference. Well, one of the follow-up questions was about Israel. And he said, well, I've been talking to the president of Mexico, El Sisi, about getting more aid in. I'm putting the pressure. I'm doing this and that. And, he misspoke and called him the president of Mexico when he obviously...
The Mexican president. And that's so far away from, Egypt. It's actually the Egyptian president. But what the media and Americans don't know is Egyptians have been calling El Sisi, their president, with the nickname El Mexiqui, which means the Mexican, because in Arabic, El Mexiqui, or the Mexican in Arabic is El Mexiqui, which rhymes with El Sisi. So because in Egypt, they don't have freedom of speech where they can openly criticize El Sisi or their president, they came up with a nickname for him and they keep calling him El Mexiqui. Did you see what El Mexiqui did? Can you believe this? So now when President Biden called him the Mexican... I hope they didn't think that he was jumping on that.
Yeah. So
no.
Egyptians got so happy saying, oh, Biden is so... they're making fun. Biden must be so smart that he's in tune with Egyptian political satire.
Much.
Yeah, he knows so much. He knows even Egyptian political satire. Others said, or I'd like to say is, that Sisi is so scary that even Biden could not criticize him. He had to call him El Mexiqui. But seriously, Biden, come on, guys. Biden is that was not reassuring. Especially even, I don't like Trump at all, but even Trump, he had a point is, when Biden finishes, when there's a press conference and there's a stage, there's two ways out. There's right or left. There's like stairs. But only Biden, after he's done, he just looks around in circles. It's a reflection. The rest of the world are watching this, and they're seeing like the choice between both sides is just not a good choice at all. And then you have one person who's just approving all this genocide to continue. Obviously, it's hurting you in the polls. Arabs don't want to see you. Muslims don't want to meet with you, and you're going down in the polls. Young people don't want to meet with young Jewish people. Are giving up on you, and you don't see that that's a problem. Will you consider
changing?
They see that
that's a problem, Ahmed, and that's why he thought going to Michigan and Blinken and setting meetings with Blinken with his notebook.
that will win people over.
Yeah.
How about stopping the war? Wouldn't that be much easier? They would rather lose the election or jeopardize the election than stopping this war from continuing. We don't want to even call it a war because a war has two sides that has military units and some sort of balance between them. This is, as someone had said before, I don't remember who, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. These are just people that are sitting ducks and they're getting hit and massacred with the most sophisticated weapons on earth by the most powerful militaries, and these are just a bunch of refugees. And then all you want to keep complaining about is, these guys, and people are avoiding, people on the internet now avoid calling them by their real name, so they call them hummus because the algorithm, they basically say that, Meta and Twitter, if you say their real name, then they'll, shadow ban you. So in the interest of not shadow banning our voices, we're going to call them hummus. So because hummus are in the tunnels, hasn't there been enough destruction already? And if you're really concerned about the hostages, you would want for a ceasefire because you're also risking their lives. It's very disturbing. It's so sad to see the amount of suffering that's happening. So many children that are orphaned. And somehow, do you not think that these people that saw all these, like, especially the young people that saw their parents and everyone in their family decimated and killed, do you think they're going to grow up to love Israel? And
Actually, there
Netanyahu
are,
and Israelis?
if you listen, if you see, for instance, not on Twitter, but maybe on TikTok, but more on Instagram, in the Arabic language, young people who come out of the rubble, they say, guess what? I'm not going to forget, and I'm not going to forgive, and I'm going to do something about it. And some people just very bluntly say, I am going to be the future hummus.
They do.
They do, yeah.
I mean, so now that if you wanted to destroy hummus, now you're creating like a whole new generation of them, and who knows what will they may even be worse.
And yeah, exactly. That's what I'm trying to say, because the level of anger in the Arab street. Okay, people need to understand that the Arabs cannot demonstrate the way we are demonstrating in America and the way Europe is, because of the clampdown and because of the authoritarian regimes, and because they do arrest people. So it doesn't mean that there is something not boiling under the surface. And usually I always say these things will come back and haunt us, and they are going to haunt us in a very negative way. But I want to really mention this news item that I got from
what is that?
Israeli magazine. It's like an Israeli-Palestinian kind of independent
What
journal.
Is it called?
972.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So look, please, listeners, try to make any sense out of this.
Okay.
So the magazine is saying on December 13, because they're following this story, Israeli forces raided the offices of the Freedom Theater. The Freedom Theater, a world-renowned bastion of artistic expression in the occupied West Bank city of Jenin. The soldiers ransacked the building and defaced it with graffiti bearing Jewish symbols, before violently abducting 3 members of the theater's community from their homes. Artistic director Ahmed Tobasi, producer Mustafa Shita, and a graduate of the theater performing arts program Jamal Abu Jawaz. So when they say, where are the peaceful Palestinians and where are the Palestinians who want coexistence or peace or all that that they talk about, well, you're arresting them even if they are doing poetry and if even they are doing art. So Tobasi was released, and then a week later, I think they... Shahata is still... he was sentenced to 6 months in administrative
For doing
detention.
what?
For being an artist. Because you either have to be hummus and kill you, or a refugee and ethnically cleanse you and bomb you.
I think
but if you are an artist, that
right.
means you are using peaceful methods.
Which is actually to them is actually more dangerous. They see that as a bigger threat. Didn't we have somebody from this Freedom Theater on before?
I can't remember.
We did have somebody from the some theater group years ago. I think it was the Freedom. We're gonna have to look back through our archives, but I believe we've had. It's so sad because some of the people we've had on this show
are
either dead or missing, and it's just, and you see the images and you see their Twitter accounts, just like Rafat. You know, like what did he do to deserve to be killed?
He taught young people how to use the English language in order to tweet and
to tell their stories.
Yeah.
And that's his crime, and that's why he was targeted, because they don't want these stories to get out. They don't want these people to be humanized. And when I say it does not mean, as some people try to misinterpret, that this is about Jews or Judaism or the Jewish community. There are many Jewish people, young and old, are in the front lines opposing the genocide that's taking place. There are many people of different faith rising up. This is not about the great religion of Judaism. This is about a group of, psychotic maniacs that are genocidal, that want to wipe Palestinians off the map. They want to kill all of them. This is not me saying. You can hear them in their own languages, in their own words, saying this every day.
They were presented, these words and the sayings were presented at the case at the ICJ.
ICJ, and
all of it is
which
there.
Is the United Nations International Court of Justice. It's there, and those justices, with a vote of something like 15-2, and some of them were 16-1. All of them said that yes, there is plausibility that genocide is taking place. It's not definitive because they need years to come up with that ruling. However, they're saying it's plausible and it seems like it's happening, and Israel better take these following steps. And they gave some orders. And those orders are binding, but that court does not have an enforcement mechanism on its own. They don't have their own army. They don't have their own police to go out and enforce this. They rely on the United Nations Security Council to enforce it. And so far, since the ICJ, there has not been a resolution, or the United Nations Security Council has not acted, mainly because the United States is blocking it. Samar, I'm going to have you have the last word because we're about to wrap up.
Okay, because I wanted to mention that the 6 months administration detention, it means anybody can be put in jail for 6 months without a lawyer, without an accusation, without seeing a judge, without a due process, and anybody can be labeled anything and be put in administrative detention. So this poor guy, Shahata, the artist, in the theater, will be serving 6 months in prison, and it can be renewed several times. But
okay, well, this is the case. This is what's been happening. We have about a minute left. I want to remind our listeners, this is True Talk on WMNF. We're broadcasting on Twitter. We are on Samar's Twitter. Music is playing. Okay, sorry. Yeah, we're gonna have the scoop on next, which is WMNF's new, or kind of newish, news wrap up of the headlines and stuff. But next week, Samar, when we reunite here, we're going to be raising money, inshallah, for WMNF. And I'm getting ready for Ramadan. Ramadan is less than a month away. And I hope by Ramadan that these atrocities stop, and that there's some sort of ceasefire, because I don't think the people in Gaza can take that much more than that. So we're going to be going to the scoop next. Samar, have a great weekend. Great weekend to all our listeners. WMNF Tampa. Goodbye.